Happy New Year and welcome to Gerda Steiner Designs. I'm Allison Cope and today we're going to be coloring with Copic markers and digital stamps. I've started out my card today printing out this cute little cat here, and he has a birthday hat, a present, and a half-eaten cupcake. It is one of my best friend's birthdays this week, and so I thought I would try and get this in the mail before the new year. So let's get started with our Copic markers. We're going to start by coloring our little kitty cat here. Now, the technique that I'm going to be using today involves some Copic blender solution. So this technique can only be done first and foremost when doing your coloring. So if you're going to do this technique, make sure you color in the object first, and then you can color in the rest after the technique. All right. So I'm going to start by putting a very simple layer of our Copic marker. This is a T3. And we're going to just color in our putty tat here. He's so cute. This digital stamp set actually comes as a series of individual images, and you create your own scene, which is so nice. Then you can make it and suit it to your needs. There's a whole bunch of different pieces. So it has the cat and of course the present and the hat and the cupcake, and there's some other items as well. And so you want to get a decent coat of your Copic marker down. Now this technique works with a more rich color, so the more color or the darker the color you use, the better it seems to work. I'm not going to color in his paws entirely. We're going to keep them cute and white on the bottom. Alright, so you want to do all your shading as well. We're going to add some T5. You don't have to worry about putting any fur texture because that's what we're going to do with our technique today. So I'm just going to do some really simple shading here. Not even really shading. We'll just kind of move in and almost look like he's spotlighted from the front. So put all your color in. Do your blending too. So I'm going back to my T3. We're just going to kind of blend in that edge. It doesn't have to be perfect because the technique will kind of cover that up, which is great. Great way to fake it. I'm just going to put another layer of T3 in there. Alright, and I will put a touch of the T5 on his paws. We'll go back and blend. And I think I will add one more color just to deepen some of the shadow. Okay, blending with the T3, and then I'm going to bring in actually a T6. I'm just going to put a tiny bit of darkness on the edges underneath his little party hat and down around the paws, so it looks like his paws are in front. Yes, they're in the foreground. There we go. All right. So, like I said, do all of your coloring before you do this technique on whatever you're going to do for texture. Then you're going to need a textured piece of cloth. This is just a white washcloth that I cut apart. And it's just easier for me to use a piece. That's why it's so small. I'm just going to, and of course it's fraying. Now, the other thing too is I have some Copic blender solution in a spritz bottle. I find it easier to use when it's more accessible, so I always keep one or two of these around, and I label them to make sure that I know that it's the blender solution and not water. Okay, so you want to add a fair amount of water. Give it just a second to soak in, and you want something with texture. This has a lot of little loops to it, and then you're going to literally press it down to whatever you want your texture on. And if you have to go in, you can do this multiple times. Okay, I'll give you a little close up here. See how that blender solution is given a little bit of texture there? So if you need more, go in with, you can re-moisten this cloth and go back in. So he kind of looks spotty, but you know what? It just gives him just a little bit more whimsy. All right. Next, we'll go on and color our other items. The thing that you have to watch out with for this technique is that sometimes things bleed outside the lines. Now, I am going to go and cut the top of this image off because I want it to sit kind of open to the card. So I don't necessarily have to do this, but I want a white edge. So I'm just going to use my Copic blender pen and push back anything that bleeds outside those lines. So be careful with the amount of saturation of your blending solution. Let's go and color the rest of our image. I'm going to go in with a V12, and I've picked out my kind of color palette for my card here. And of course, with simple images like this, you can make them feminine or masculine, however you choose. Make sure that you don't go in and color when this is wet with solution, because you'll just have it wick out. Go in with our V15. We're going to add a little bit of shading to our hat. I'm going to kind of do the lighting from the front of our little kitty, and I'm going to go touch darker with a V17, just a tiny little bit down that one side there. Oh, sorry about that. And we're going to go back to our V12 to blend. There we go. It's not so dark. Super cute. And then we're going to color in the polka dots. Whoop. And this is B12. And I think it will add a little bit of shading just to those areas on the hat where we've done shading with the violet. I'm going to go B14. Just kind of where there. And again, go and blend. There we go. So it looks like a conical, right? Okay, we're getting closer. Let's go and do our present first. Here. I will come back and do the rest of his ears and his nose and that too. We'll come back to that in a second. And we're going to stick with our color palette again. Oops. And do I want to design? Yeah, let's make this little fella plaid. So you can start with some cute little lines. I think we'll just do the bottom of the box in plaid and not everything. So we'll go thin line. This is our second darkest violet, our V15. And go back to your other color. Markers give you the opportunity to go crazy and kind of do your own thing, which is kind of cool. This is my B12 again, my lightest blue. And just making a really simple plaid like that. And then we'll do the top of the box, just a solid purple. This is my V15, so my mid-tone. I think I need to change the nib on this one. a little bit frayed at the tip there. And we'll do tiny, 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 tiny bit of shading just underneath. I'm not even going to blend it, I don't think. I don't think there's any reason to. Just underneath the ribbons. Okay, and then I'm going to do my ribbon in blue. We have a really windy storm going on in Alberta today. And it is chilly. And the snow is blowing everywhere. So it's nice to be hunkered down at my desk today. Alright, we're going to do a little bit of shading on our bow as well. So this is our B14. And of course you can shade it wherever you kind of feel like it needs it. There's no rule, and heck, you don't even have to shade it if you don't want to. You can just leave it plain. This is pretty. There we go, and I am going to blend. I know, it's such a tiny little box, but it's so cute when you have the details. Okay, we're going to do our cupcake liner in purple. I'm going to start with our lightest, our V12. Really, 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 really simple coloring. And then we're just going to add a little tiny bit of shading into the grooves on that cupcake liner. There we go. And we're going to soften those once again with our V12. You don't even have to be exact with this one. There we go. Just a little bit of fun texture. And I'm going to do the little dab of icing that is left on it in blue. There we go. Looks delicious. And then I'm going to do a light creamy color. We're going to go in E50 for the little cake. It's just a soft peachy color, and don't forget the crumbs. And yeah, I know, silly. It's so tiny. There we go. All right. We'll go in and finish our cute little fella. I'm going to stick to my color palette here. We're going to give him some purple around his eyes. I'm going to give him an R20 nose, and we're going to go in with the R20 and R21 on his ears. Oh, and I think I will make his nose a little bit darker. How cute is he? All right. On to the next part. So now we're going to do a little bit of masking, and I have taken a piece of my Express It Masket, and it's a low-tack, flexible, clear medium actually. It's not opaque, so you can actually see through it. What I did is I printed out my image on just copy paper, applied my film to the copy paper, and then I cut out my mask. So I want to mask off underneath. That's what I want to color. So I created a mask to go over top anything that stuck out underneath, wherever I needed to add a mask. So I know you can't see this. I apologize. That's just the nature of the product. I'm just going to carefully put my mask on, and like I said, it's a low tack product, so it works really, really good. You can peel it up quite a few times if you need to reposition, because sometimes, yep, you need to reposition it. There we go. And it was a scrap piece, that's why it's all kind of funny cut like that. There we go. And we're going to use my Copic Airbrush system. The other thing too that I did was I took some art masking fluid and an old brush that's designated specifically for this medium. It's very sticky and it doesn't come out of your brushes, so once you've got it in your brush is done. You can wipe it out of it, but you'll never get the entire solution out, so be aware of that. Use crappy little brush for it, okay? I've applied it to the crumbs because I really didn't want to have to fussy cut out clear paper for them, so they are actually have the masking fluid on it. So I'm going to go and get our setup for the airbrush system, and we'll get started on that. Okay, so we're just going to put a last piece of post-it note. I want a weight edge around my image, so I just actually took my wide post-it tape to my trimmer and cut it into 3 strips. It just makes it easier, more economical. Okay, that's all masked out. We've got our clear mask on and we've got our masking fluid over our crumbs. So I've got my Copic sketch marker in my air grip. Just gonna test it off to the side there, make sure everything's flowing good, and then just slowly add. Now the color is not going to be the same as what you color with here. This is actually our V12, so this is our lightest. And because of the manner of it coming out, it's going to be lighter. Oh, and I've got to, I can probably go in and use my blender pen. Just it's a splatter. Oh, there's another one. Oh, and there's another one. Actually, I have another way to combat that as well. So I'm just putting a light application. You can hear my little compressor running there. So I'm leaving it nice and dark towards the top. We're just deepening the color. Just add layers and layers. Got more of those speckles, but that's alright. Alright. A little bit lighter towards the bottom. I'm still going to go in with some more color towards the top there. Now I'll show you a trick. Okay, so sketch markers come with a nib end, which was that end, and then they have the brush end. If you put the marker in backwards into the air grip, it actually gives you a different spray pattern. So this one is a little bit more speckled than a nice soft application. So I'm just going to rotate it just to get a different pattern. So if you spray it, and I'm spraying it off to the side here, it will give you a speckled look. So I can just add to those speckles. Now you can also try, and I'm not sure if my other marker is going to cooperate or not, if it has enough ink or not. I don't have a refill for this. This is my B17. I'm going to do the same thing. So I've got the brush end in. So I'm just adding a touch more color. Colored speckle towards the top there, and I'm actually going to go in and darken towards the kitty there too, and it's going to be a little bit more speckly than the stuff underneath, just because I've got my brush end in the machine. I'm just giving it a spritz, making sure I go right up and over the edge of that kitty, over the table. There we go. We'll get a little close up so you guys can kind of see. Hopefully you can see that. Now let's do the reveal. This is always the fun part. Okay, so let's do our edges. I'll zoom out here. Okay, edges first. So there's one. There's two. There's 3. We'll pull this off our scrap piece of paper and then carefully pulling off this mask here. Careful, careful, careful. There we go. And then, of course, you just have to, you can usually take your finger, and that's usually enough friction to pull off that. So there we go. A nicely masked table, a nice gradient of color, and a cute little kitty. Right, I'll go and do a little trimming. I'm going to go up and around my kitty so that this is all cut off, and then we'll go and show you the full final card. Alright, I've got my panel cut out. I left a white detailed line around the edge. I kind of like that. Makes it easier for fussy cutting, let me tell you. I also made a side fold A2 sized card, and then I took my image, propped it where I kind of wanted it to go, so I knew where to cut off the top, because I want him to hang. Alright, then I added some foam tape to the back, and then we are going to position it on the front of our card. There we go. So I wanted a little edge of my pattern paper to show, but not behind the kitty. So I just have to make sure it goes up far enough there. Cover my edge, and voila! There's our little kitty card, and I'll add a fun little birthday message to my girlfriend in the card, and I think she'll be surprised by how cute it is. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you've learned something, and I hope you join me again. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.